In a move that has sparked both hope and controversy, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced plans to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Hungary, citing great progress during their recent phone call. But here's where it gets controversial. This meeting comes at a critical juncture, just as Trump is weighing whether to supply Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles capable of striking deep into Russia. Could this be a game changer in the Ukraine conflict, or a risky escalation? Let's dive in. The call that started it all. Trump described his Thursday conversation with Putin as very productive, marking their first dialogue since mid-August. The two leaders agreed to face-to-face talks in Budapest, though no specific date has been confirmed. The Kremlin echoed the positive tone, calling the call extremely frank and trustful, and stated preparations for the summit would begin immediately. Meanwhile, teams from Washington and Moscow are set to meet next week, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio leading the U.S. delegation. Timing is everything. The timing of this announcement is no coincidence. It comes just a day before Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to the White House, where the Tomahawk missile issue is expected to dominate discussions. Zelensky, upon arriving in the U.S., remarked that Moscow is rushing to resume dialogue as soon as it hears about Tomahawks. This raises a critical question. Is Russia genuinely seeking peace, or is this a tactical move to avoid further military escalation? The Tomahawk dilemma. Trump's stance on providing Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles is nuanced. While Zelensky has repeatedly urged the U.S. to supply these advanced weapons, which have a range of 2,500 kilometers, 1,500 miles, Trump has expressed concern about depleting the U.S. stockpile. "We need them too," he told reporters, leaving the decision hanging in the balance. This hesitation has not gone unnoticed by Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S., Olga Stefanishina, who criticized Russia's overnight strikes on Ukraine just hours before the Putin-Trump call. She argued that such actions reveal Moscow's true intentions, emphasizing the need for tougher sanctions and military support for Ukraine. A controversial interpretation. Here's a thought-provoking angle. Could Trump's reluctance to supply Tomahawks be a strategic move to keep Russia at the negotiating table? Some argue that providing such advanced weaponry could push Putin further away from diplomacy. Others believe it's the only way to force Russia into a genuine ceasefire. What do you think? Is Trump's approach a calculated risk, or a missed opportunity to strengthen Ukraine's position? Global reactions. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán welcomed the planned Budapest meeting as great news for the peace-loving people of the world. He has long advocated for negotiations with Russia, stating, "Peace requires patience, strength, and humility. Europe must shift its stance." However, not everyone shares his optimism. Critics argue that engaging with Putin without concrete concessions from Russia could legitimize its aggressive actions. Trump's evolving stance. Trump's approach to the Ukraine conflict has shifted significantly since his August summit with Putin in Alaska. Initially, he claimed he could end the war within days, but has since admitted the challenge is greater than anticipated. His public relations with Zelensky, once strained, have improved markedly. In September, Trump even suggested that Ukraine could win all of Ukraine back in its original form, a stark contrast to his earlier calls for Kyiv to cede territory to Russia. The bigger picture. This latest development comes amid broader U.S. efforts to isolate Russia economically, including pressuring countries like India and China to stop purchasing Russian energy. However, Trump's claim that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi agreed to halt Russian oil purchases was quickly disputed by India's foreign ministry, highlighting the complexities of global diplomacy. Final thoughts. As Trump and Putin prepare to meet in Budapest, the world watches with bated breath. Will this summit pave the way for a lasting peace in Ukraine, or will it further entrench the conflict? And what role will the Tomahawk missile debate play in shaping the outcome? Is Trump's diplomacy a bold step toward resolution or a risky gamble? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going.